Hi everyone, Stepan here with another game. I have the white pieces in this one. I'm gonna go d4. This opponent is rated 2174 and we've never played before. So I'm not getting my revenge against the guy who beat me twice. Yeah, he beat me twice. So let's see what happens. Now I have a lot of work to do on my Nimzo Indian. I played one game when walking outside and I gave up my knight on f7 and it didn't work, but since I wasn't recording and wasn't, really taking it seriously, I'm not saying that's why it didn't go well, I'm saying that I played it very risky. So yeah, I have a lot of work to do on my Nimzo. So Grunfeld or King's Indian. I haven't played against the Grunfeld in a long time. People don't seem to play d5 that much. So I'm expecting the King's Indian. But we will see. I have some things prepared against the Grunfeld, but not a lot. It's still a transitioning phase for me from e4 to d4. There are still a ton of holes in my prep. But I'm just trying not to play the London. So I'm gonna go d4, c4 every game, see what happens, and fix it if it goes wrong. Last game was a Caro-Kann. It went pretty well. Although I was confused in the opening. I thought my opponent had made a mistake, but he didn't. Why is he a minute and a half down on the clock? I don't know. He went for the King's Indian. He could have gone bishop g7 much quicker than that. Come on, man, play d6. Okay, go, 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 go. It's very strange. Bobby Fischer did castle here once. There's an old Bobby Fischer game from the 50s where he castled, his opponent played e5 and Bobby Fischer ended up crushing him. But I don't exactly remember how. Okay, he's playing like Bobby Fischer. So if e5, knight e8, and then he breaks my center later, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna go bishop e2, and I'm expecting a transposition to a normal King's Indian. e5 is interesting, but it gives black a ton of counterplay. Okay, yeah, now we've transposed. This is fine. And now my opponent can go e5, c5, or a5. And knight bd7 is a move, but it is slightly strange. I think those are the options. Knight h5 obviously isn't good because I haven't played knight f3. The whole idea of this line is to prevent any knight h5 or knight g4 or bishop g4. So yeah, that's the idea. This is the semi-Averbach. I used to play bishop g5, the Averbach system, but I like this a lot more. Okay, c5 is a good move. And now we are transposing into a Benoni defense where for some reason my bishop is on e3. That is if he plays e6, which I'm expecting is going to happen. Yeah, however, after h3, which I believe is correct, although I could consider knight e2, knight f3, sorry. Okay, so h3 takes, rook e8, queen c2. So h3 takes, rook e8, queen c2. If queen e7, I can always go bishop f3. Yeah, I like h3. I want to prevent knight g4 and go knight f3, knight d2. When he takes, so that my knight has the c4 square and pressure on d6. Maybe h3 isn't the most precise move, but it's okay. On queen a5, I have queen d2. I want to prevent this idea, and I also want to prevent bishop g4 or knight g4 or knight f3. Other than my bishop being on e3, this is now a normal modern Benoni, where you usually delay the development of the bishop. But in some cases, if I can play e5, the c5 pawn isn't defended. So it's not a bad place for the bishop. Like e5 here, if he does nothing, then the e5, bishop c5. And I have a passed pawn on the d file. Okay, now I was thinking queen c2. Is there anything wrong with that? If he goes queen a5 there, I probably have to go bishop f3. Or I could castle queenside. Okay, I'm going queen c2. I'm expecting queen a5. Our coffee machine broke, or something's going on, so I'm drinking tea, which is very frustrating. I don't know about you guys, but I like coffee a lot, and I've actually started buying decaf. We have an espresso machine at home, and yeah, I'm happy to see this. Queen a5 did not happen, so I'm free to play knight f3. We have an espresso machine, and if I knew that it wasn't going to disrupt my sleep, I'd be drinking coffee all day, every day. So, having discovered decaf recently, I don't know why I hadn't before, now I'm happy. Now I can drink coffee all day. Anyway, the espresso machine not working is a big deal for me. I cannot function normally. It's not that I need the caffeine, but I just enjoy drinking coffee a lot, and it's part of my daily ritual. Why am I talking about coffee? Okay, he played a6, a4, standard. He doesn't have knight e5, and that's the biggest thing in this opening. Now on queen a5, I can just castle. So I think he should have played queen a5 before knight d7. Having said that, maybe queen a5 was a bad move, but okay. c4 isn't playable, knight e4 isn't playable, knight e5 isn't playable, rook b8 is playable, but against rook b8 I can just castle, I think, and he's still not prepared to go b5 because I take stuff. My queen on c2 defends the b2 pawn, which is good. So this position seems a bit tough for black. If knight h5, I believe I can just ignore that and castle. If c4, I can take it. So c4, bishop takes, knight c5. I can just take that, I think. Would I take that? c4, bishop takes, knight c5. I could consider knight d2, defending everything and not giving up my bishop pair. That may be a better idea. So if c4, bishop c4, if queen c7, I go bishop e2. If knight c5, I go knight d2. That seems good. And then, since the knight is on d5, it cannot go to e5. I like drinking tea, to get back to my previous point, but not nearly as much as drinking coffee. And my favorite thing to do in the entire world is to play chess and drink coffee at the same time. I don't think there's anything I like more. Maybe eating, and cooking, but coffee and chess. That's better. It's tough to make a move for black. I'm looking at rook b8 and c4. Other than that, maybe queen c7 preparing c4. But what's preventing me from playing b3? Well, the diagonal, because then he would have knight e4. So queen c7 may be a good idea. queen c7 may be a good idea. Wow. h6. Why would you play h6? That's an incredibly weakening move. Okay, I'm just going to castle. I don't understand h6 at all. I don't see what the move does. I have no idea what h6 does. h6? I don't get it. What? Okay, finally creating a threat. So now I was thinking on this, I would go knight d2. So knight d2 allowing knight e5. Knight d2 allowing knight e5. If I go bishop d3, he goes c4, which I don't want to allow. If I go e5, he takes with the pawn. So knight d2 seems to be the only sensible option. Knight d2, knight e5. Can I go f4? I believe I can. Knight d2, knight e5, f4. Knight d7, knight c4. Seems good. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. But I'm gonna have to watch out for knight takes e4, because after f4 my bishop on e3 is hanging. So I may consider on knight e5 playing knight c4, but then he plays knight fd7. I could go knight b6, but he takes it. So if he doesn't play knight fd7, I could go there. And what? f3 may not be a bad move here, but so what he's basically preventing is f4 after knight e5, after knight e5. So if I go f3, defending everything, where's his counterplay? He goes knight e5. I go knight c4. He goes knight g6, knight f4. Is that scary? Seems scary. If I go f3, can he take on d5? f3, knight d5, knight d5. Okay, so it still doesn't work. f3... I mean, I don't have to go f3. I could just go rook e1. Because he isn't threatening anything. Rook e1, if knight e5, threatening g4, I can then go f3. Okay. I mean, I like f3 because I don't see counterplay for him. If he plays knight e5, I'm gonna go knight c4. Yeah, I'm going f3. He does have knight h5, but on knight h5, I'm gonna go knight c4. And on knight g3, rook e1. I want to free up my pieces from defending e4. Okay, now I was thinking knight c4. Is there anything wrong with knight c4? Knight c4, knight c4, bishop c4, knight c4, knight fd7, rook ae1. Seems okay. I'm not hanging the bishop. And I want to go a5, knight a4. a5, okay, he wants to go. This is all covered still. Knight f4, I don't have to take it. Knight g3, I can go rook e1. So is it time to go a5? a5, if bishop d4, I don't really mind that. I could consider knight e2 here, just to patch up some squares. Knight e2 seems like a sensible option, but I kind of prefer a5. I'm happy he didn't play knight d7. I was more afraid of that. If I go knight e2, can he go f5? Yes, he can. But I can then go g4. Knight d2, f5, g4, knight f6, gf5, bishop f5, ef5, queen e3, check. He does have f5. So probably I should defend my rook. Yeah, rook ae1, if he goes knight g3, I'm gonna go rook f2. He goes f5, I go rook fe2. Seems okay. If rook e1, rook ae1, knight f4, I could go knight e2. Okay, I need to defend my bishop. This is a tactical liability. I don't want to have it hanging. Okay. This is another move I don't really understand. So I believe I just go knight e2 here. Yeah, I'm just gonna go knight e2, defending the squares. And I wonder if g4 is good or not. It seems good. g4 seems good. Okay. He just wants to go b5. So I think I should go a5. But then he has bishop b5. Is that a problem? a5, bishop b5, b3 seems good. a5, rook b8, b3, b5, ab6, rook b6 seems okay. So I'm gonna go a5. I still think he should play f5. I'm not really sure about g4. I have to be honest, because he can play knight g7 and h5. And then, you know, move the king and go rook h8, and I have problems on h2. So I'm not a big fan of g4. I'm a big fan of trading bishops. So I like the idea of bishop d2, bishop c3. I don't know. If you ask me to say who's better, I wouldn't be able to tell. I have a very bad bishop. The bishop on c4. But if he ever expands on the queen side, it's going to become good. So, who knows? Then, does he have a kingside attack? Again, I'm not sure. I think he needs to start moving his h-pawn and his f-pawn. But the variation after f5, ef5, bishop h2, king h2, queen e3 doesn't seem to work. Okay, king g7. That makes sense because he wants to go rook h8. So can I now trade bishops with bishop d2? Bishop d2, bishop g3, knight g3, knight g3, rook f2. Seems good to me. His bishop is much better than mine. Although he has on bishop d2, he has knight g3, and bishop d4, but that's not good enough. So bishop d2, bishop d2. If he doesn't do anything, he could consider f6. Yeah, but I like improving my bishop, so I'm gonna go bishop d2. Also, it's not hanging if it's on d2 or on c3. Okay. Okay. Bishop c3 is a logical follow-up. I don't think he has any tricks. Okay. If I take with the queen, he probably goes rook e5. If I take with the knight, I'm losing control over f4 and g3, so I'm gonna take with the queen. And then with the pawn. Or with the knight. I don't know, maybe with the knight to play against bishop b5. And you shouldn't forget that moving the g-pawn weakened f5, so eventually my knight will be able to get to f5. And then the rook endgame should be better for me because of his backwards b-pawn. The question is, can he play... Oof, that cannot be good. I'm sure that's not good. So queen takes, king takes, knight takes, g takes. Rook a3. He wants to go f5. Yeah, this is good for me, I think. I think this is a good end game. And king f2 seems good. He could try to play a rook g3 and rook g8, but I can safely cover that. Yeah, like king f2 first, king f2 first. Get away from the pin in the event of rook g8. Okay, he wants to go rook g5. He blocks my e pawn. I wonder if I should go g4 straight away or not. Okay, how does this sound? Rook a3, rook b3, rook b6. It sounds good to me. He has rook g5, rook g8, and if rook g1, he plays bishop takes h3 if I move away my rook. However, if I can get my bishop to defend the g2 pawn, then I'm safe. So, rook a1 seems good. If rook g5, then I could consider rook fe1, and if rook g1, if rook g8, then bishop f1. Okay, I'm gonna do that. I want to get my rook to b3 as quickly as possible, or to b6. King g5? What's king g5? Sometimes I feel like I know nothing about chess. If I go rook a3, can he go bishop b5? Probably. But then I go rook fc1. Rook a3, bishop b5, rook fc1. If takes, takes. Then rook b8. Yeah, okay, this has to be fine. This has to be fine. I think this is fine. I'm expecting bishop b5. And I'm gonna go rook fc1. I think he should have played rook g8 instead of king g5. I don't get king g5. And if he doesn't play bishop b5 now, then my rook comes to b6, inevitably. He just gave me time by playing king g5. He doesn't have time for rook g8, rook g5. I didn't want to go b4 because I don't want to give him the c file. This way I'm the one with all the counterplay. He could go f5, but on f5 I take and go rook b3. What is that? That's a very strange move. He's just gonna be defending the pawn. Okay. So now what? Bishop c8? Very strange moves by my opponent. Rook d8 is such an inhuman move. Okay. I don't get it. I'm gonna go rook b6. Tying down the rook. f5, okay. So if I take it, he has to take with the king or with the rook. So I don't really want to take. So I'm gonna go rook fe1. That seems sensible. Or sorry, rook e1. Yeah. My rook is tying down his rook and bishop, so that cannot be a bad trade for me. And if I ever take his rook on e5, I have a passed d5 pawn. If he goes rook d8, I could take on d6, but I could also play bishop d3. So I mean, if I take, he takes with the rook. And what do I do then? If I go bishop d3, I'm weakening the d5 pawn. Yeah, okay. I'm not moving my bishop, that doesn't seem good. I'm looking at g4, but fg3, king g3 seems to open up the position a bit too much. Then again, I would love to free up my e1 rook. He has a bunch of waiting moves. I'm just gonna go rook e2 because I feel safer covering the second rank. It's not like he did much with his previous move. I want to see what he does. Okay, now he takes. I think I take with the rook. And his options are what? I mean, I was thinking of taking with the rook, but maybe taking with the bishop is better. With the pawn, sorry. But then he has rook g5 and rook g3, so yeah, I take with the rook. Okay. Now he goes king e5. And if I go king f3, he goes rook g8, followed by rook g3. Okay, so I'm gonna go bishop d3. Because rook g8, rook g3 is annoying if my king is over there. Yeah. Still goes rook g3. Okay, I'm going bishop c2 and b4. Probably. He's crushing me in this endgame. I don't have anything, he's much better. I allowed his king into e5. And yeah. Okay, so now I was thinking bishop d1, king e4, rook d6, and I'm on the h pawn. So bishop d1, if he doesn't take, I play bishop f3. I'm going bishop d1. Okay, now bishop f3. At least his rook isn't infiltrating along the third rank. I managed to transfer my bishop successfully. I don't know what this does, but okay. I'm gonna go b4 now. If he goes c4, I'm gonna go b5. Now I want to get to c7. I want to play rook c4, rook c7. I mean, he has to allow it. If bishop d7, I'm going rook c7 anyway. And if he defends the bishop, I'm going rook c7. Yeah, okay. Okay, moving in with the king. I don't see anything defending f4. So I'm gonna go rook f7. I believe the king has to go back. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. Very little time on the clock. But I like the idea of provoking the rook here and moving the bishop away. Does that gain a tempo though? So check. And here, I don't know if I did anything. I don't think I have. But I'm just trying to gain some clock time. Okay. Let's go back over here. How can I out-tempo this bishop? Can I try bishop h5? He goes rook f6. I'm gonna try it. Okay, now king f3. The bishop still cannot move. If he goes king e5 now, I win the pawn. I think. With my plan is bishop e8 and rook c7. Bishop e8, he goes rook f8. Mhm. But let's try it anyway. He has to go rook f8, otherwise rook c7 wins the bishop. But then I can play bishop here, takes, takes, and I'm threatening many pawns. Threatening this pawn and this pawn. And this pawn. Okay. Let's grab this one. I'm not sure king c5 was the move. I think he needed to seek counterplay along the c file. Now maybe rook g8 saves him, but king f4. Rook g2, rook b6. Yep. "30 seconds on the clock, not good." He doesn't have rook h4, because if on rook h4 he takes rook e4, then rook c4 check, king c4, king e4, and he's not in time to catch my pawn. So a6 was correct. He doesn't have rook h4, he's just losing the endgame. He basically has to play rook a3, otherwise I queen. He cannot take rook e4. Let's just double check. Rook c4, king c4, king e4. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Okay, I managed to win the endgame. The pawn endgame was winning. If he does this, then here. And he doesn't catch my pawn. Yeah. Okay. This was a tough game. Okay, let's see. Okay. This is the beginning of theory. H3. Why is knight f3 the main move? I always play h3 here. Let's see what the engine says. Knight f3. Why is h3 bad? Well, it's not bad. White is still slightly better. But on knight f3, what if he goes knight g4? Ah, bishop g5. Moron. Moron. Wait. Yeah, okay, that's a common pattern. You gain a tempo on the queen and go bishop f4 if they go knight g5, and then h3 actually chases away the knight to a bad square. I need to remember that. Okay. Wait, cd5 is bad? What? cd5 is a blunder. I don't get this. Wait. On ed5, rook e8, knight f3. Okay, this seems normal. Why would I have a symmetrical pawn structure with this bishop being so good? Let's see why cd5 is bad. Rook e8, queen c2, queen a5. I was expecting queen a5, but it says queen e7. And now I either go bishop d3, bishop f3, or f3. What's wrong with bishop f3? Knight bd7, knight e2. Oh, he can go b5 or knight e5. Okay, let's say queen e7 here and I go f3. Then knight h5 and my knight is stranded. Okay. Yeah, I actually was worse here. And now I'm much better. It went from -1 to +2. Because he... Yeah, h6. f4, I should have played f4. f3 is a mistake. I should have played rook a1, which I'd intended to play. After f3 he should have gone knight h5 straight away. Still f4. Knight c4 still equal. Okay. And now knight h5 equal. Knight e2 best move. Okay. Knight e2 now. Still f4. Okay, I'm gonna have to analyze this game properly. Still f4. So the idea is, after gf4, I just keep taking stuff. If he takes, then rook f4. Yeah, and why is this so good for me? Okay, I'm on f7. Yeah, makes sense now, but I figured both kings could be unsafe when I first saw the engine wanted to play f4. And now I get it. My king is far safer, but this is plus 3.7. Okay, rook e3 makes sense. I would play that. Rook g8 I would probably play for... I probably wouldn't play for black. Wait, rook g8, rook f6? Queen f6, yeah, and then rook g3 check. Wow. And rook f3. Okay, this is really nice. Sorry, we have another delivery. Sorry about that. I played bishop d2. Knight takes is a blunder. This endgame is winning for black if engines are playing. Yeah, he should have gone rook g8. And then he should have gone rook g5. So at least I understood something. Okay. Now I am better. But not after this. So what I should have done is bishop d3. Okay. Yeah, I agree that black was better here. This I understood. Rook g3, bishop d1. He should have gone rook d3, yeah, to stay on the right side of the pawn. b4 is a mistake. He should have gone c4. If c4, I was gonna go b5. Yeah, but he took, and now I just have too many weaknesses to exploit in the c7 square. I had no time, so I kept making weird moves. Rook e7 check. Ah, bishop f7 was better than bishop e8, because I just go rook c7 next. Okay, but this is also good, and the rook endgame is winning. Okay, this works, everything works. Let's just make sure I hadn't blundered. Yeah, rook c4 check. Okay, finally a game where I didn't make a mistake in the endgame. I didn't make a ton of mistakes previously. I had 2 blunders, 6 mistakes, and 11 inaccuracies in 65 moves. Okay. Okay, still, I won. Thank you for watching. Hopefully we get a better game next time. Stay tuned for more chess. Bye bye.